G'day people, welcome back to the lab. We have a JBL Tuner 2 here today. It's a Bluetooth speaker with DAB and FM radio, and today we're going to replace the battery inside. So let's fire up all the test equipment and get started. First of all, to open up this JBL Bluetooth speaker or DAB radio, we're going to have to attack it from the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to fire up our heat gun to about 80 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to apply heat to these feet just to get them nice and warm and toasty so the adhesive breaks away a little bit easier. Now, because these feet have softened, they should be a little bit easier to take off. Just put our little metal spudger underneath and just gently pick up. That's our first one done. This is our second one. Spudger underneath. Pry up again. Keep this adhesive intact and peel back gently. We have 4 screws to take out, here, here, here and here. So we'll get our Phillips screwdriver and we'll remove those right now. Don't use a cordless or electric screwdriver here, just do it the old-fashioned way and just gently extract the screws. If you use the cordless screwdriver, you'll strip the heads. We're going to reheat the underneath here with our hot air gun at about 80 degrees Celsius, just to get this bottom panel all nice and warm. So if there's any double-sided adhesive on the other side, it will soften it up quite nicely and help it break away. Get a small flat screwdriver, a jeweler's screwdriver, and you can see the port here, our USB-C and our input audio. And in between those two, just put the screwdriver in, and we're going to exploit a little crack, give it a good old push, and going to just lift it up slightly like that. Then get a larger flat screwdriver and put it in the same crack and just work your way around. Work back the other way. We now push off this bottom bit of plastic, get our thumbs behind it and gently push back until it clicks, and we've got our bottom panel off. We now need to take the end cap off here, the one with the little warning symbol, and for this we're going to use a metal spudger, and we're just going to go to the very bottom of the cap. Just exploit a crack as usual, give it a bit of a wiggle, and then give it a bit of a flex back, and it should pop just like that. Work your way around. And now we move to the other end. The same again. Get our little spudger in there, give it a bit of a wiggle, get it in as deep as it can go, and then flex back, and then work around to pop out the end. Now we're going to remove the screws from the ends, and we're going to use our cordless screwdriver with the Phillips bit in the end, and we'll just insert it and extract all those screws. Same with the other end. We now have to remove the outside shell, and we do this by getting a little guitar pick, throwing it in one end, jamming it in there, and then getting our flat screwdriver and working our way along the crack, just exploiting that gap and opening up entirely along one edge. We flip it over and do the same with the other side, throw our little wedge in, and then use our screwdriver again to exploit the crack. And now we remove the whole outer covering, gently peeling it up, cracking as we go along. Work it from the other end, and our outer shell has been removed. We've got some more screws along the top, the side and the bottom, and we'll try and remove this grill here. So we'll get our electric screwdriver and just pop him in the top. Flip it over. We'll see if this comes off. How easy is that? Two more screws here. We're going to remove this display cover here, and what we're going to do is get a small flat jeweler's screwdriver and really dig it in into this little corner here, and just going to gently try and peel up this flap. And it's popped off. We'll just pull up this rubber seal, and it looks like we've got 8 more screws around the edge here, so we'll tear those out right now. Just see if we can break this away, give it a bit of a wiggle, and we are inside. We're just going to start disconnecting a few cables. This is our little power button cable, so we just jam our screwdriver in on one side and release the locking tab and then pull it straight out like that. Now we're going across to our speaker, flat screwdriver again, just going to shove it in, unlock it, and then gently pull it out. Back to our display ribbon cable, finger and thumb wrapped around it, give it a bit of a wiggle, and that should come out. And the whole front face should just break away. We'll just knock out our little power or battery cable. Just give it a bit of a wiggle, break break that away. We have another cable here. We'll just give this a bit of a wiggle and pull this connector out. Most connectors will come out with a bit of a wiggle. We just have our antenna cable and our buttons cable left, so we'll pull those out right now. Antenna cable is nice and simple. We just pull that straight out. Got a bit of goop on it. Our buttons cable, we'll just get our screwdriver in there and give it a slight twist. We'll just quickly do the other side. Okay, and then we'll just wiggle it out with our fingers. This is the cable which controls the buttons on the top, station selection and things of that nature, volume, and that cable is free. We'll now lift out the whole printed circuit board, and we have 7 screws holding the PCB in, and we'll just use our trusty electric screwdriver as normal. We've just got a couple of cables in the way. We might just pull those out, make the job a little bit easier. See if this separates. What we'll do next is we'll have a closer look at this battery, but we better take it out first. This is our battery we've extracted out of the battery case. It is a lithium ion battery, and it's known as an 18650, and that's because it's 18 millimeters wide and about 65 millimeters long. We have the flying lead going to the side of it, positive and negative, plus 2 other leads. That's just for a temperature sensor that sits up this end, just to make sure the battery doesn't pop if it overheats. But let's take a closer look at this label under the microscope, and we will have a look at the specifications. Here are the specs of the battery itself, and we see on the very top line its model is an IAA 004NA, and it's made by IES, which is a Chinese company based out of Shenzhen in China. Big battery manufacturer, make batteries for all sorts of things, and rechargeable lithium ion. Nominal voltage is 3.63 volts. Rolling along a little bit further, 2.5 amp hours, or a bit over 9 watt hours, and some Chinese writing and the obligatory warning: do not put in fire, do not eat, blah blah blah. Just all the normal stuff. So what you've got to consider is this worthwhile changing over? Now, you can pick this battery off eBay or Amazon or Alibaba. You know, you just type in the model number and lithium ion battery, and it's worth between, like $20 and $50. And, the radio is originally designed to run that 10 or 12 hours between charges, and if you've only got, like 1 or 2 hours charge out of the battery before it goes flat, it might be worth replacing. But considering the cost of the radio is a little bit over $100, and changing the battery could cost up to about $50, that's half the price of the radio. And if you do replace this battery, you then got to consider, well, how much longer am I going to use this radio itself? And you could buy an 18650 cell off eBay and then reattach the leads, but the problem is you can't solder the leads onto the battery because they're spot welded. It's a special type of join, so you have to get the original battery. So that's what it all comes down to. Whether you're happy to pay up to $50 to replace this battery, or you may want to just push ahead and tear down the radio itself and just do it for fun and forego that cost of $50 to replace the battery. So that's what it boils down to, money, and whether you want the experience of tearing the radio down. So we'll move on to putting it all back together. First, we put the battery back in its holder, then screw it back into the chassis. We reinstall the printed circuit board with 7 screws. We plug in the antenna, the keyboard connector, all the buttons on top, the on-off switch, the external connector bus, the external audio, the USB-C connector, and lastly, the battery. We then put the front face next to the main chassis, then connect the display ribbon cable and the speaker. Now it's time to reattach the front face. Clean the display, put the display cover back on, then screw it in. Put the speaker grill back on, then secure with screws. Snap on the outer shell. Secure the power button end cap. Then the other end cap. Line up the tabs on the base and snap it back in. Screw in the base. Then reapply the bottom feet. We are all done. If you want more information about the JBL Tuner 2, check in the description down below for other videos. Also, if you're interested in repairing other stuff yourself, check out the rest of our channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Other than that, we'll see you next time in the lab.